I used to think I had everything: fame, fortune, and a last name that echoed through every corner of the world. But when you strip away the glam and the filters, when you're lying awake at 3 a.m. next to a man whose heart isn't yours anymore, what do you really have? Timothy was different. That's what I told myself the first time I saw him, leaning against the bar at an after party in Milan, looking both lost and magnetic. He wasn't chasing the cameras, he wasn't performing. He was just real. "Hey," he said with that signature crooked smile. "Hey," I replied, almost too softly for the noise around us. We talked for hours that night. About books, childhood regrets, and why we both hated red carpets. He quoted Rilke. I laughed more than I had in years. For once, I wasn't Kylie Jenner. I was just a girl with tired feet and too much mascara. We kept it quiet at first. Secret weekend trips to Napa, late night FaceTimes, a shared playlist that became our private world. My sisters were skeptical. "Of course," Kim said, "he's cute, but is he strong enough for this life?" I shrugged it off. Timothy wasn't Hollywood. That was the point. But love in my world isn't a fairy tale. It's a headline waiting to happen. By month 3, the leaks began. A paparazzi shot of us holding hands in Paris, a blurry video of a kiss in Malibu. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. What is Kylie doing with him? She downgraded. This won't last. I ignored them all. Because behind closed doors, he was gentle, warm, grounding, until he started disappearing. First it was a missed dinner, then a week of unread messages, then the photos him at a party in New York, arm wrapped around some unknown actress. The headline screamed, "Timothy's late-night mystery woman." My hands shook as I scrolled, heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear the room. I confronted him. Of course I did, and like every liar before him, he denied everything. "It's not what it looks like, Kylie. You know me." But did I? That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at my own reflection for a long, long time, and I made a decision. If he thought he could play me, he didn't know who he was dealing with. The next morning, I posted a selfie, hair slicked back. No caption, no filter. Just a stare-sharp, unreadable, defiant. Within minutes, the comments rolled in. "She knows. That's a warning look. He's done. Good. Let them speculate." I didn't need to explain myself. Not yet. I wasn't going to go down like some tabloid tragedy. I wasn't going to cry in a bathroom stall at a fashion show while cameras clicked outside. That's not who I am. That's never who I was. He wanted to play in the dark. I owned the night. I started with silence. I stopped texting. No more "I miss you" or "call me when you land." Radio silence is louder than screaming, especially in our world. And he noticed. 2 days in, he sent, "Thinking about you. We okay?" 3 days. "Kylie, please talk to me. Don't believe the gossip." By day 5, his name was trending on Twitter. And not in a good way. I made sure of that. You see, people forget I was raised in this storm. I know how to feed the beast and how to unleash it. With just a few whispers to a few people in the right places, the rumor mill began to spin on my terms. I didn't say he cheated. I didn't need to. A well-placed anonymous source, en deux mois, a reposted meme with a dagger emoji, a strategically timed appearance at a club with someone new. No captions. Just presence. The internet did the rest. But it wasn't just public perception. I was after. It was him. I knew his next movie deal was hanging by a thread. I knew his co-star had a contract clause forbidding scandals. And I knew because he once drunkenly admitted it, that he feared being forgettable. So I made him unforgettable. In the worst way. A Vogue insider hinted that I'd been emotionally manipulated. A fan thread unearthed old red carpet clips him ignoring me, looking bored, distracted. Narratives form faster than facts. And for every click, he crumbled. A little more dot when he finally called me, really called me. I let it ring 5 times before answering. Hey, I said, calm as glass. Kylie, what are you doing? What do you mean? You're destroying me? No, I whispered. You did that all on your own. I'm just letting people see it. He paused. I loved you. No, Timothy. You loved the version of me who didn't know how to bite back. Then I hung up Dot, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. The thing about revenge is it's not always loud, Dot. Sometimes it's a whisper behind closed doors, a quiet phone call, a subtle unfollow. Hollywood has its own ecosystem, and I know exactly how to poison it. I didn't plan to see him again, but fate, or maybe irony, loved a good plot twist. Dot. We were both invited to the same gala in Venice. One of those absurd diamond-drenched fundraisers where people pretend they care about endangered whales while sipping $5,000 champagne. I wasn't going to cancel, Dot. Why would I? Instead, I arrived late, intentionally, Dot. My dress was red, not wine red, not cherry, blood red, a slit up the side that said, I've moved on. And on my arm, Luca, an Italian designer with cheekbones that could slice glass, and a tabloid. History almost as messy as mine. We didn't have to kiss. We didn't have to touch. Just standing beside each other was enough. Dot. The camera saw everything. Dot. And so did Team Off, acute. He was across the room. A half-empty glass in hand, jaw clenched so hard I thought it might crack. Dot. Good. Dot. Later that night, I slipped away to the balcony. Venice lights reflected in the canal below. I needed air, maybe even clarity. That's when I heard his voice. You really had to bring him? I turned. He looked tired. Not movie tired, soul tired. You don't get to ask questions anymore, I said. Timothy stepped closer. Kylie. I messed up. I know, but this? Destroying my name, parading around with that guy? I laughed. It wasn't sweet. Do you hear yourself? Your name, your pain. You never even asked how I felt when I saw those photos. It wasn't real. It was enough, I snapped. Enough to humiliate me. Enough to make every girl in the world look at me and think, even she got played. He fell silent. You hurt me, I whispered. But worse, you underestimated me. I walked away. But before I did, I turned back one last time. Be careful, Timothy. Because when you break someone who has nothing left to lose, they build empires from the ruins. It started with a cover, Harper's Bazaar. Front page. Me, seated on a marble throne, chin tilted, eyes unreadable. The headline? Queen without a king, Kylie Jenner on power, privacy, and reclaiming her name. I didn't have to say Timothy's name. The world read between the lines. In the interview, I spoke in riddles. Some people mistake silence for weakness. That's their first mistake. Healing sometimes begins with burning the bridge you danced across. It was elegant, controlled. Dangerous. My publicist called me surgical. She meant it as a compliment. Meanwhile, Timothy's PR machine was bleeding. The mystery girl from New York. She went on a podcast, claimed he promised. Her things were over between us, that she had screenshots. Suddenly, #CHALAMET canceled was trending. Producers panicked. Fragrance deal quietly dissolved. A fashion house pulled a campaign. I didn't smile. Not yet. And then came the night of the awards. I wasn't nominated, but I was invited. And not just invited, requested. They put me in the front row, right across from where Timothy would be sitting. He walked in, wearing a tux that hung on him like shame. The cameras flicked between us, hoping, begging for a reaction. I gave them nothing, but during a commercial break, he turned to me and said, barely above a whisper, do you still love me? I didn't look at him when I answered. I did. Once, enough to forgive the first lie, not the second. Never. The third. Then I turned my head and smiled right at the camera. That night, I went home alone, but not empty. I had my dignity back. And in my world that's rarer than love, the thing about revenge is it doesn't heal you, Dot, it distracts you. It keeps you warm for a while. But one day, when the noise fades, all you're left with is the silence. And in that silence, I found myself wondering, did I go too far? Did I destroy the man I once told I loved you to simply because he made a mistake? Or did he deserve it? Timothy had been quiet for weeks, Dot, until suddenly he wasn't. A surprise live stream, no publicist, no filter, just him sitting on a balcony somewhere in Paris, rain trickling on the glass behind him. I want to tell the truth, he began. Over 800,000 people watched as he admitted everything. Yes, I lied. Yes, I got caught up in the attention and the chaos. And yes, I broke someone who loved me. He didn't cry, but his voice cracked. Just enough, Dot, and then the words I never thought I'd hear. Kylie, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for who I wasn't when you needed me. For a full minute, he said nothing. Then he whispered, you made me better, even if I didn't deserve you. My phone blew up. Dot, friends, reporters, fans. Did you see it? Are you going to respond? But I didn't, not yet. Instead, I turned off my phone, poured a glass of wine, and sat by the fire. Because here's what no one tells you, even after the storm clears, even after you win, heartbreak lingers like smoke and silk. A week passed. Then I got an envelope. Dot, no name, no return address. Just a note. You told me once you loved sunsets. I saw this and thought of you. T. Inside was a Polaroid, a burning orange sky, taken from the same balcony I once stood on with him back, when we were still a secret. Dot, and for the first time since the war began, I let myself cry, but not for him, for us, for what could have been. Dot, and for the girl. I used to be. Dot, they say time heals everything, but whoever said that never lived under a microscope. Doesn't heal. Dot, it just teaches you how to live with the scars. Week after the envelope, I flew to Paris. Dot, not because of the photo, not because I'm me,